Hey guys, here we are, the DrumQuig podcast. I'm Matt. This is
Troy.
and with us today. I was like, I know we probably got to plan that a little bit better next time. But we're very, excited today to be able to introduce our next guest. Dad actually found, Solar Federation one day on a Rush forum and literally sent it to me immediately. And the first thing I did was, I wonder if I could get Jeff on the show. So here he is, the one and only, the Neil Peart wannabe with Solar Federation, Jeff Herb, or FFEJ. If you're going to be really confused, it's just Jeff backwards. How we doing, guys?
Doing great, yeah. Actually, everyone knows me as Ffej. So if they hear Jeff, they might be, who's that guy?
I'll call you Ffej for the rest of the show.
Yeah, we will call you Ffej. I was about to ask you that. Do you actually use that? So that's cool.
That's been my stage name since kindergarten.
All right, we got to hear the backstory on that one. Like that's.
Oh yeah, real quick. No, it was me and my older brother and some friends were sitting out on my front porch one day, and we were trying to pronounce all of our names backwards. Well, my brother's name is Bob, so that wasn't very clever. And Greg was Gerg. That was kind of, sounded almost the same. Mike was E-Kim. That sounded kind of girly. I was like, well, what's mine? And my brother's friend goes, Ffej. And then my mom got me like a shirt and a hat that said Ffej, and I wore it to school one day in like kindergarten or first grade, it must have been. And everybody just started calling me Ffej, and it just stuck for my whole life. Like almost everyone, almost everyone calls me Ffej. I mean, my wife calls me Ffej. My mom still calls me Jeff, but
the mom will always still call you.
That's what moms do.
She'll throw in the middle name every once in a while too if I'm being an asshole.
Well,
we're adults now.
Yeah, right. So that's the short, abbreviated version.
Very cool. Yeah, tell us a little bit about Solar Federation. Where you guys? Looks like you guys are in Pennsylvania area. Is that correct?
Yeah. We started off. We're based out of Central Pennsylvania. I live in a small college town in Lebanon County called Annville. Okay. My wife and I have been here for 23 years. 24 years is coming up on, and I played in original bands. I played in a Beatles tribute band for a very long time, and I was kind of coming to the end of some of those projects. And Rush had been my favorite band since I was 16. They were kind of like one of those life-changing bands. And after being in so many bands for so long, I was like, there wasn't really many Rush tribute bands 10 years ago. There were a couple of them, and I had seen a couple, and there weren't really any in our area. And I was just like, that would be kind of fun to do, but can I do it? That's the thing. It's a tall order. So I kind of cobbled together my drum set and kind of set it up kind of to what I needed to be able to play Neil's parts. And I just picked a dozen songs and spent about a year just playing them over and over just to see if I could learn them. And after about a year, I was like, yeah, this sounds pretty good. I think I might be able to pull this off, but now we just have to find the right people.
The rest of the people.
Yeah. So I knew a guitar player would probably be the easiest, and I found Eric very, very quickly. We met at a mutual friend's housewarming / wedding party, and I had met him before in passing through some bands that we were in, and we were talking, and he said that a Rush tribute would be something he'd be really interested in because he had just rekindled his interest in Rush after seeing him on the Time Machine tour. So he was always more of a casual fan, but now he was really starting to get into them. So it was like really good timing. The Geddy Lee was the problem. So originally we had 3 people covering Geddy. When we first started, we had a keyboard player, a different singer than Julie, and Mike, who came on board. And I met Mike through a mutual friend. I had heard that he was into prog rock. And I asked a friend who knew him, what's this Mike Bitts guy like? Is he any good? And he's like, oh, he freaking transcribes Zappa tunes for fun. And I'm like, oh, all right, he's my man. So I asked him if he was interested, and he was definitely interested. He was a big, especially 70s Rush fan. And then it really wasn't until our original singer didn't work out and Julie stepped in, who's married to Eric, our guitar player. And that was like the piece of the puzzle that really, made the band come together. And at that time, I was very skeptical about having a female singer because no one else really was doing that. I wasn't sure how it would be accepted by Rush fans, but it turned out to be the right decision. At least we think so. And then eventually a keyboard player left. Mike assumed keyboard roles, and that's kind of where we are. And we're coming up on almost 10 years of being together because we rehearsed for about a year before I would even allow a video to be put up on YouTube. I wanted to make sure it was pretty good. So we got a decent video of YYZ, and I was like, okay, that passes the test. And then, the band has just probably we're taking off a little more, I'd say, within the last 2 years. Certainly ever since we did the Night for Neil show in Canada back in October, which was kind of like a whole other life-changing experience.
Gotcha, because they just had the Neil Peart birthday bash too. It looks like there was some bands there from what I could see. But
yeah. So the Night for Neil came about through some friends of ours who had done an event called Rush Camp up in the Poconos, and we had performed that at the first year and then the third year, and it was run by a charitable organization who happened to know some folks in Neil's family. So they were brought on board to kind of work on putting together the entertainment, and they had already been fans of ours. So they suggested us. We actually had to pass the test from Neil's mom and sisters and brother. And we ended up headlining the show up at the Meridian Center in Neil's hometown of St. Catharines. And it was like 4,000 people from all over the world. I mean, crap, if I don't know if you've seen any videos from it online, but the production value was amazing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, I can't think of doing anything better in my lifetime. It was certainly a pinnacle for sure. And it's definitely a night I'll never forget.
Yeah, that's really awesome. My technical skills, I realized very quickly when I heard Rush albums, I was a little more Phil Rudd, not not Neil Peart. But
I'll tell you what, there's nothing wrong with that, man. I mean, in my opinion, he is a huge part of the sound of that band. I mean, his groove and swagger is just as important as Malcolm Young's role in that band, as far as I'm concerned. But a lot of people, he's not doing Tom Fills and this and that. But dude, you take him out of the equation, and it's a different band. I mean, that's what's great about drummers. You don't have to be the most technically gifted guy, but you have the stuff that's in your toolbox, and you have a certain sound and groove that really adds a lot. Like Ringo is a perfect example. I mean,
right.
Everybody always
say it, but
everybody always. Yeah. He's not as respected as he should be, but I mean, you're talking about a guy who had to basically come up with parts on the cuff in the studio. And as they progressed, some more complicated stuff. I mean, they were doing some interesting time signature stuff later on in their career, and different grooves and different feels and vibes. And he was a super eclectic drummer, and he doesn't get enough respect that he should.
Now, I learned how hard he was. I had to do, was in a band. We did a lot of Beatles covers, and you're always like, Ringo's really easy until you try to get that feel right.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the heck is this guy doing to make it sound the way he would swatch the hats or
right. Yeah. And without getting on too much of a Beatles tangent, one of the cool things about him was that he was a left-handed drummer playing a right-handed kit.
And that's exactly what I am.
Yeah. So. Yeah. So he would be leading with his left hand and doing all these crazy fills. It was really tough learning the drum fills in A Day in the Life and She Said and Rain and some of those other more complicated patterns that he was doing.
Yeah, because if he's like me, he hears them backwards. So
right.
Yeah, and I was lucky enough 4 months ago to see Ringo. He came with the All-Star Band, and it's funny because him and Greg Bissonette were just trading off back and forth.
Oh wow.
And I'm like, I'm here to see Greg. I mean, Ringo, yeah, but
Greg. Yeah, Greg's no slouch.
No, not at all. And super nice guy too.
Nice.
We have had the pleasure of meeting him before. So, but okay, I'm gonna throw the big elephant question out there. Geddy and Alex are kind of fooling around a little bit. What do you think if Rush should come back out? Should they call it Rush? What's your opinion on that?
Well, it sounds like Alex recently closed the door on that on Eddie Trunk's show a couple days ago. But I was in the camp, and I said it before that, they gave us 41 amazing years, and they left on such a perfect high note. I mean, you're talking about ending their career with the song "The Garden" on their last album, and then doing the R40 tour, which was, I mean, just an amazing concept.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. An amazing concept. Something from every era of the band. I love the evolution of the set.
Right.
That they put together. It was just a perfect send off, and closing, with Working Man, and then doing the little Garden Road tag at the end was just a great way to come full circle. And I think everybody was expecting it. It was the last tour, so it took me a while to let it go, but I finally came to the realization that the band was done, and they ended so perfectly and eloquently that I'm fine with them being done. Now, if they wanted to get together and record some new music and call it something else, that's cool. But I would not want it to be called Rush and have some stunt drummer in there. That's like one of the, like, people are like, well, what about you? You should play. And I'm like, I wouldn't pay money to see me play with Rush. So yeah, that's kind of where I stand on it. I mean, I'd love to see them do some music at some point. Certainly, I love their solo albums that they did in the past, and I really dug Alex's Envy of None. I mean, I thought that was such a cool departure of his style and way of writing. It's a really cool album to like listen to in the morning when you're driving to work. It's just like got this really cool chill vibe. I love the vocalist. So it's cool that he's doing something fresh instead of just kind of,
rehashing the past. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's kind of where we're at too. We saw R40 as well. We saw it in Tampa. I saw you saw it in California, second to last show.
Yeah.
So kudos there. It's kind of how we feel too.
Yeah.
Let's just keep it on the high note that it ended on.
Agreed. It's us being greedy is what it is. It's like, come on.
Yeah, no, I get it. And it's a hard thing to let go. I mean, this band is a special band, and certainly their fan base. I mean, we, being in a tribute band, run into these types of fans all the time. And, I tell people, when I say I've seen Rush 27 times, people are like, oh my God, you've seen them that many times. And I'm like, I've met guys that come out to see my band that have seen them more on one tour than I've seen them my entire life, Yeah. So, yeah, but I love the family and communal atmosphere of Rush fans, and that's really one of the most important things about being in a Rush tribute band. I mean, I know tribute bands are there's people that are on both ends of the spectrum. There's some people that absolutely don't like them, and there's other people that love them. So I get that we're catering to a certain group of people, but there's a really high demand from people to see this music performed live on stage by capable musicians. I mean, Rush fans are so passionate, and they just need that fuel in their life because Rush music is so important to them. And I think that that's a void that we really try to fill. And I mean, we've met some amazing people over the last 10 years that, we've come to call great friends, not just our fans. And it's just been an amazing experience trying to keep their music alive and meet a new, generation of fans. It's funny, when we played at the Whitaker Center, there was this little 11-year-old girl that is a daughter of one of my wife's colleagues, and she's a big Rush fan, and she loves the Trees. So right. So she came to see us play, and we dedicated the Trees to her, and she was like blown away. And I met her after the show, and in a way, it felt that she was meeting someone from Rush. Like, she was like very nervous and talking to me, but I'm like excited, and I'm like, I'm just a schmuck playing these songs as good as I can, I'm like, but it was just like really cool to see like an 11-year-old girl that excited about Rush. I mean, that's amazing, and that's what it's all about. It's not about, I mean, making money or riding the coattails of Rush. A lot of people say that, why don't you write your own music? But it's like, we're just doing it because we love Rush. I mean, if I was getting paid for this band based on the hours that I put into it, I'd probably be making about 15 cents an hour.
Yeah,
So,
and you would carry a whole lot less gear too.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Playing a 4-piece with a double pedal. So
no kidding.
Speaking of gear, I've looked at the pictures. I think I'm seeing Tama, and I saw some Ks.
Actually, I have been using. I'm coming up on 21 years now. I have a Yamaha Maple Custom Absolute that I bought back in April of 2003. I bought it as a 7-piece, and I've since added on to it since starting Solar Fed. I added an 8-inch tom and a set of Tama mini timbales to kind of mimic the open concert toms that Neil used back in the day. And then just an assortment of cymbals. I mean, I'm not brand loyal. I do have one Paragon, just because I felt like I had to have something from Neil's kit.
I gotta have one.
Yeah, I have the Paragon Splash. No.
Nice. Yeah, I have a 16-inch Paragon Crash, and then an assortment of. I have a really great Peisty signature ride cymbal that I absolutely adore. I'm never getting rid of that. And then like all the bells and whistles, I have a cowbell tree, a glockenspiel, temple blocks. I have the Yamaha like 12-pad electronic e-drum device that I use for samples and sound effects. And what else? that's about. I think that's about it. Yeah, an assortment of cymbals, but it's a nice kit. I mean, I've had it forever. I get a lot of great compliments from sound guys.
It sounds great. Yeah,
on it. Yeah, it's a really good sounding kit.
Because I was looking at an online forum and somebody said your sound doesn't sound true to the different periods, and it's like, well, you can't change the heads throughout the show. And I know Neil's heads were relatively tight, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and you're talking about a guy who's had a 40-year career and used like 5 different brands of drum sets. I mean, he used to use those like weird red Remo heads like back in the day on his old Tama kit, and at one point he didn't have bottom toms on some of his drums, and then he he went to the Ludwigs, which were like super bright, and then the DWs, which are a lot more like the maple, the warmer tones. So it's like, I try to keep them tuned to like the moving pictures era.
Yeah.
Not a bad way to go.
Like, no. Classic. So, if there's a tone that's not on point for Xanadu, well, I'm just hope that I'm hitting the right drum at the right time and playing the fill right. That's the way I look at it. Yeah.
Yeah, that last drum set was made out of a 3,000 or 4,000-year-old tree they found in Hungary or something. So
yeah, no kidding. Yeah, some amazing drum sets over the year for sure.
Well, I know one of the questions. I don't know how we can follow that. I mean, that it's fun to watch the two of you like Rush nerd out, because that's what it is, and it's not. Oh, look at me! Look how much I know. Like, it is a passion for this band. It's a passion I've had since Dad introduced them. Like, I've liked Rush as long as I can remember. I liked Rush when it was weird for a kid my age to like Rush.
Yeah, I'll bet. It was even weird when I was in high school. I mean, I was in high school. The first album that I bought when it came out was Roll the Bones. I had seen them on the Presto tour. And then when I got Chronicles, that was the album that like blew it out of the water. I was a casual fan growing up. Like I said, I was a metalhead. We talked a little bit about Iron Maiden and Judas Priest. They were like my favorite bands growing up. But then when I heard Rush, really heard them when I was about 15 or 16. It was right around that time Chronicles came out, and I heard all that older 70s music that I wasn't familiar with. I knew all the hits. And that was what really did it, particularly La Villa. Like when I heard like that middle section, at that point, that was just the craziest rock music I've ever heard in my life. It was like next level stuff. And I was like, and as a drummer, that's kind of what I gravitated to. I'm like, oh my God, this is next level. I got to learn how to play that shit. and it just snowballed from there, really. And they've been my favorite band ever since.
Yeah, that was always the song I gravitated to. I think it was like 84. The video store had like this copy of some Rush concert. I don't even know what it was called. I can't even see that it was published, but they had them playing La Villa Strangiato, and I'm just like,
oh wow,
and it's I mean that's the epitome of it for me
Yeah.
right there.
No doubt. It's probably the hardest song I've ever had to learn how to play.
Well, see, you answered the next question too. That was,
Yeah.
that was the one.
Oddly enough, they're all hard in their own way. I mean, when you get into some of those epic songs, I remember when the band wanted to do Jacob's Ladder and The Camera Eye, both like around the same time. Learning both of those songs was about 7 months of my life. Like just those two songs. Like
I believe that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Camera eye clocks in around 11 minutes, something like that.
Yeah.
So.
10:57. Yeah, that's or 10:58. I think is the actual. Yeah, and I mean that middle section of Jacob's Ladder where it goes back and forth between like 6 and 7, like that 13 feel.
Mm-hmm.
That like took me forever you just got to get it to the point where you feel it. I mean,
where you feel it exactly.
It's like super hard to count it, but once you learn it, man, it's so rewarding to be able to pull that stuff off on stage, and the reaction from the fans it makes it worthwhile. So it's like, I don't have any kids. What am I going to do? I'm just going to come home and practice my drums.
Oh, that's
lucky
perfect.
you.
Hey,
wait a minute. Your kid turned out all right.
Took him a second, didn't it?
Listen, I distinctly remember being fascinated by Chronicles, and I love that you brought that up, because wasn't that the 2-disc one?
Yes.
Like the weird, and I was like, why is there two? Like, what's going on with this? Like, I'd never seen a CD case like that.
Yeah, it was a great introduction. It had like 2 songs from every album. Basically, it had some of the live tracks, and it was like chronological, so you could kind of like go through and, I don't have this album. I don't have this album. This is awesome. This is the next one I'm going to buy. And I remember like going back then, and me and my friend, I remember we were having a race as to who could get all the records. I was like, I got Signals this weekend. He's like, oh man, I don't have that one yet. And it was just, I mean, it was such a cool time to get in. When you're talking about getting into a band for the first time and they already have a 15-year career behind them and with so much material to go back and find. It was, and this is, obviously all pre-internet.
Right,
you kind of had to go out and buy the CDs or get mixtapes or something. And it was a great era of discovery for sure.
Because I got in probably around 77. I had a friend give me a scratched copy of 2112, and it was just like, what is this?
Yeah.
And then it's like I hear that roundhouse fill, and it's just like da 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 bum, and then I was hooked from right there. It's like I got to find out who these guys are. I think Permanent Waves had just come out right around then. So.
Oh wow, yeah, 2112 really seems to be like the defining album where a lot of people really discovered them. Like they talk about that a lot in Beyond the Lighted Stage. Like Dana Carey and Kirk Hammett and all those influential musicians themselves. Now that was like the album because they were getting more of a push. I think then they were starting to tour a lot more. As much as I love Caress of Steel, not a lot of people gravitated to that one, perhaps.
No, the record company didn't like that one. So.
No, they did not.
Yeah, I love it. I love that record.
But that's the beauty of this, is that not everybody's going to love everything you put out.
Right.
There was definitely a dissension with that, and I think we talked about it last time, Vapor Trails, where everybody was kind of like, don't know how I feel about this, but I'm like, there's some good stuff still on there.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, don't completely, shut off the album. And you bring up Kirk Hammett, so obviously the first CD I ever bought was Metallica's Black Album.
Nice.
Bought it from the Walmart in Brooksville. I remember that. My own money. I was so excited. But, and again, finding out years and years later that most Metallica fans hate the Black Album. They're like, we hate anything they did after 91. And I'm like, why?
Well, Rush is the same way. There's so many people that stop at Signals. And honestly, I am a champion of the 80s synth era. All my favorite stuff is from basically Moving Pictures to Presto. Like, I Power Windows is my favorite album. And I love that stuff. And everybody's like, really? You're a metalhead and you like the 80s shit? And I'm like, I could talk forever about why I like that material more. I mean, Geddy's voice got more melodic. The lyrics are leaps and bounds better, in my opinion. And just like their arrangements really did get more complex, and the recording quality. It just, I don't know, just like there's something about that era of the band that I just absolutely love. Most of my favorite songs are on like those 5 or 6 records.
Power Windows was my first tour, so.
Oh, nice. Yeah, would have loved to seen him back then.
Oh, I got to see. Wow, my first. See, that's funny. This makes me feel old and young at the same time. But my first one was obviously the Clockwork Angels tour because it was the first time in my life I was like, I have money. I can go see Rush. Dad, you want to go see Rush? Let's go see Rush. Like,
yeah, and tickets were getting a lot more expensive then.
oh my god!
I think when I saw him, it was $18.50 a ticket in the Presto tour.
I mean,
Yeah,
I bought tickets that were close to that, but it's not for Rush.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got he got me ticket stubs from the show I went to, and I think it was $750.
Wow, yeah, that sounds about right.
eBay.
Yeah. Yeah,
Listen,
eBay.
at the end of the day,
shameless plug.
Life is short. Buy the tickets.
There you go.
I couldn't have worn a better shirt for that particular part of the conversation. Like,
no kidding.
I'm like, hopefully we talk about tickets. Hopefully we talk about it. But Dad, I know you had a question that you had proposed to me that you wanted to ask everyone, and I think this is a perfect time. And it was the last question on that list.
Was. Oh, I don't know what that was.
So you had said, what's the one song you wish you could have played on? Any band, will say, like any song where you would have wanted to have been the drummer who played that song.
Yeah.
Wow, that's an awesome question. You want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Wow.
we were gonna prepare people, but I'm like, let's do shock and awe. Let's just make them think on the spot.
Well, I looked at your bio and I read a lot of things, so it's like I'm not going to ask him anything I can read on the internet. So.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you this: are you taking in account whether or not we can actually play the song?
No.
Okay. Then
your pipe dream.
Yeah.
I mean, if I could ever play the Black Page by Frank Zappa, that would be pretty astounding. But I'd have to practice every day, 23 hours a day for the next 25 years, probably to be able to pull that off. But that's just like, that's a whole other conversation. Like Zappa for me was the next level then from like Rush. At the time, I thought Rush was like the craziest, most insane stuff to play. And then 10 years later, I got into Zappa, and I was like, "Oh, no, yeah, there's another level that's above even Rush." Not necessarily that I like his music better than Rush, which obviously Rush is my favorite band, but man, just yeah, right. Getting in his Zappa was like a whole nother level of ridiculousness.
I missed the whole Zappa phase. I didn't really get into that. I did see Chad Wackerman play the Black Page at a clinic.
I just met him like 2 months ago. He was playing with a little Zappa tribute band that he was just playing with them on this recent tour. And it came to this like 150 seat theater in New Cumberland, Pennsylvania, which is outside of Harrisburg. Tickets were $20. I'm like, I'm going to get to see Chad Wackerman for less than what people pay to see me. Jesus. And he's like my favorite Zappa drummer of all of them, to be honest. And like, come on, name check some of the guys. Yeah, Chester Thompson in that band, Terry Bozzio, Vinny Colaiuta, Jesus. I mean, some amazing guys. Seeing him play live, Anzac Dunbar, oh my God. So seeing him play live from the front row in this tiny place, and I met him afterwards because I had enough liquid courage in me. Was just awesome. I mean, and Mike, our bass player, is an even bigger Zappa fan. Like he's into Zappa like I'm into Rush. It's ridiculous. So we went together and had a really good bonding session together. But yeah, I mean, it took, I'm sure I could think of a million other songs. Painkiller by Judas Priest would be another one that is a pipe dream. Or Hot for Teacher.
Oh God.
Yeah, some great songs. None of which I can really play, but
well, it's funny because like when I saw Dream Theater, I think the first time they played with Zappa Plays Zappa and Dweezil played, and had Dream Theater not played, I would have thought that was the greatest show I'd ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I was at that tour. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was a good one. The Scale to Summit too. Oh man.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw them at the Tower Theater on the Progressive Nation tour. I forget what year it was. I think it was when Systematic Chaos was the new record for Dream Theater. 2007, maybe.
I was gonna say,
Eight? I don't
yeah,
know.
Systematic Chaos came out after Octavarium.
Yeah, I
Got
don't
'em
know
all
their stuff
behind
too
me.
much.
I mean, the
Oh,
blanket's got them all on there. Like,
yeah, sometime in the last 20 years it was. Yeah,
yeah. Listen,
Yeah,
I'm still freaking out about Mike being back in the band. That's
yeah, right on.
Yeah, we could go a whole show about the Dream Theater drummers. So
2007. I was right. Listen,
But,
to this day, I love a lot of bands, and Metallica is still the only band that I can name every album in chronological order from the time they started to now, and it scares me because I've loved Dream Theater and seen them 6 times at this point, 7 times, and I'm like, you're like, name these in order. I'm like, oh,
yeah,
this might be harder.
I could do it with a lot of bands, but Metallica story too. And I know we're talking about Rush, but I still have the original copy of Master Puppets. I bought one the day it came out on vinyl. It's my favorite metal album of all time.
Well, yeah, Orion is one of my favorite songs. Period.
Yeah, if we're talking that Neil's my drummer hero. Cliff Burton is
your bass hero.
He's just a musical. I mean, what that guy did on 3 records. I mean, what he could have done. I still get weepy thinking about. I remember seeing the news on MTV when he died, and I was crushed because I was really into them back then. Like I started playing Thomas and Zildjians because of Lars when I was a kid. my first kit was a swing, like a first real kit was a Swing Star, and my grandfather bought me 2 Zildjian cymbals, and my brother bought me a set of hats for like it was Christmas when I was 13, so 1987. And yeah, I was a huge Metallica fan. And I do like the Black Album, so screw all those other people.
It's still mind-blowing that realistically the reason Cliff is dead is because he lost a coin toss, or won a coin toss in that case. It was who got the top bunk.
Yep. Yeah, it was cards actually. He got the ace of spades. He's like, I want your bunk. Yeah.
See, I heard the coin. So if you just corrected me, I'm crushed right now.
That's what I heard. Yeah. But yeah, that was rough, man. Orion is
Orion is something they should have done more of, and I'm glad they didn't. If that makes any sense, because it's just a beautiful song. Everything about that song, the lead in, the fade, like everything about it, and the drum, not hard. Not hard, but it punches every single thing, and it seems like every part of the band is trying to show you who they are in that album.
Yeah. When people shit on Lars as a drummer, which you can say what you want about the load and reload eras,
which I don't hate.
Right. Sit down and try to play Battery and then come talk to me.
Yeah.
Because the drumming on that song is insane. Relentless. And it's all crazy time signatures, and that's one of the perfect albums in history. I mean, it's like moving pictures, It's a perfect album. There's nothing wrong with it, and it's a great album.
And I feel like you were the perfect guest for this show because having my love for Metallica, having his love for Rush, like you're literally, like you said, you're gonna fit in just fine when you got on this show.
It seems like I'm kind of the bridge because I mean, if you were into Rush in the 70s, that means that I'm probably somewhere in the middle. I'm going to be 50 in March, so I got like
60 in 2 days. So
yeah, I was gonna say, wow. We were going to do a happy early birthday, but he brought it up. So
look at that.
By the time this come out, your birthday will have passed. But we were going to say happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday, man.
And shameless plug to my wife for an early birthday present with the Rush shirt. So.
Perfect.
Very cool.
That's shameless. That's perfect. I feel left out because I was like, okay. But no, I'm going to be, oh gosh, how old am I going to be this year? 36? Yeah, so there's somewhere in the middle. Like, it just depends on that. But one thing I did want to ask is, I know you guys have 2 shows coming up in March, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we do.
Where can people go see you play?
So our first show of the year is going to be in Newark, Delaware, at a place called the Halftime, and they just put in a new sound system. I've played there a couple times. I'm also in another metal band called Denim and Leather that I play with occasionally, and that's how we got into this place. But that's in Newark, Delaware on March 9th, Saturday the 9th. And then a couple weeks later on March 23rd, we're going to be doing a 50th birthday party show for me at this awesome venue called Mickey's Black Box. It's on the campus of Rock Lidditz in Lidditz, Pennsylvania, which is where all the big bands go to kind of do their tour rehearsals. Steven Tyler was just cited there a couple weeks ago, and people went nuts. But Clair Brothers is involved. Clair Brothers is one of the biggest sound companies in the country, and certainly the biggest on the East Coast. They've worked with Rush, and our sound guys actually work there. Our guy who does front of house is their head engineer, and he actually designed Metallica's recent tour. So yeah, that's who we have. That's who we have working for us on the sound area. So so they'll be with us at that show on March 23rd, and yeah, it's great. We do 2 sets of Rush. We don't have any opening bands. We do a first set that lasts about 60 to 70 minutes. We take a break, and then we do a longer second set. First set's usually a lot of the deep cuts and stuff from the 80s and 90s. And then the second set is usually the epics and big guns. We recently brought Xanadu back into the set, which we hadn't done in a year and a half. Camera Eye, which we hadn't done in like 4 years. So we really like to change our set lists every show. I mean, obviously you're going to have to do Limelight, Spirit of Radio, Tom Sawyer, but every set list is uniquely different, and we try to do that so fans keep coming out. You know, you don't want to get stale and do the same set list every time, and people get bored. So we really try, and I really try to make the set lists. I'm a set list geek. I love Setlist FM, and I always used to be obsessed with set lists. So I put a lot of time into constructing them the way Rush might have. Like I look and see what songs they used as opening songs, as set closers, as encores, kind of middle. I have a whole spreadsheet. It's stupid, but you know,
awesome. Like, come
on. It's just another level of geekery, and that I'm into. I also do all of our video production stuff that we do on the screens behind us, mix and edit that down and control it from the drum set. So it's like that's another added dimension of the difficulty level of the band. Not only am I worrying about the drum parts, I have to be like, okay, I have a video change here in the middle of the trees or whatever that I have to hit, and with a little foot pedal. But you know, Rush was known for those. How
Rush did it, yeah.
Yeah, they were known for that kind of that show and the audio visual thing. So I feel that it's important to, you know, reflect that in our band.
The washing machines on stage. And
I wish we had washing machines.
Rotisserie chickens. And
what's really funny, for a second when you were like the videos behind us, I was like, wait, that's a video screen behind.
Yeah. So there's a cool one with Xanadu, if that video that you saw. And it's just like sometimes I just find cool stuff on YouTube, and just kind of edit it all together, you know, based on the vibe of the song. Or sometimes take little bits of their MTV videos, like for Subdivisions. You know, it's such an iconic video. You have the kid walking around in the school, and all the scenes of like the cars and subways and houses and things going by.
And everything,
the mall, yeah. So we try to really, add. It's another added dimension of the show that people.
That's the era when videos exploded too. So it kind of brings back that memory of original MTV.
Sure, yeah,
for sure. I saw your video of you guys doing Witch Hunt, and it was just that excited me. Even though, from what I understand, those drums are overdubbed on the original, and you didn't overdub yours, so it sounded great.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that's kind of turned into one of our signature songs, and we actually. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it yet, but we just recorded it in the studio. That's going to be on a release next year. But I'll have to maybe share that at a little bit, because we just finished it, and we literally just heard the final mix this week.
Wow! The timing was perfect.
Yeah, heard it here first, folks.
Yeah.
So more information on that in the coming weeks. I can't wait to talk about it, but it's super exciting. And we can't wait to let people hear it. And we're going to try to put together a little documentary about the making of it. So,
and if
I'll be sure
people want to look at you guys more, what socials are you guys on? All the standards or?
Yeah. So, well, our website is, solarfederationband.com. And then we're on Facebook at Solar Federation Rush, which is our handle there. We're also on Instagram. I think it's just Solar Fed Band, maybe. I can't remember. We're mostly active on Facebook, but we do post on Instagram quite a bit. We even have Twitter and TikTok, but I don't know that we use that much. Yeah. I was a quick TikTok sensation for a hot minute because Julie posted me dicking around on a sound check the one time, and it was mostly like, that guy's not as good as Neil, but I got like a couple 100,000 hits or something like that. So I don't know. Whatever.
Listen,
I'm not a TikTok guy.
I'm fighting.
I've never downloaded the app, so
yeah, I draw the line at TikTok.
Yeah,
that's kind of where we're at too on that one. So,
but yeah, website, Facebook. Follow us on YouTube. We have a YouTube page. And it's funny, I just found a couple videos. You've made it when people were doing reaction videos of your videos.
yeah.
So I literally just found these 2 of them the other night on YouTube. I was like, wow, someone's doing reaction videos to us. I'm like, that's like the biggest thing right now on YouTube. So, and they were very complimentary. I was like very happy to see people digging it. And they just, someone referred us to them and they'd never heard us before. So it was kind of cool to see someone, hearing the band for the first time and really liking it. It was really, really nice to hear.
Yeah, you're sparking a whole new generation of Rush fans, hopefully.
Yeah.
So.
I hope so. The music deserves to live on, that's for sure.
No, and I'll say this. I'm sorry for calling you a cover band earlier because it really is a tribute. It's a tribute to, like you said, 41 years of memories, of songs, of experiences, of everything. And you guys are carrying that on. And you've been carrying it on for a decade. Like this is, like you said, this is because you guys love Rush. You love this music, and you want people who, at this point in their life, aren't going to be able to hear that live. They're not going to be able to hear that same thing if they haven't before. And like you said, getting an 11-year-old look at you like, oh my God, this guy was playing the drums to these Rush songs. Like, yeah, it's inspiring. So thank you for that.
Thank you. That's very kind of you to say. And that's really, that's really the reason we do it. Just we put so much care and love into it. It really is a labor of love. We're not doing it for any other reason. And I'm just glad that so many people dig it. And I'm glad that everybody in the band still wants to continue to do it. We're very close. We have a great chemistry, and I think that's one of the best things about it, but yeah, like some people think of a tribute band and they think of like a hokey band that tries to dress like the band and do the mannerisms. And, we're not all about that. We're just about playing the music as accurately as possible with, we like to say, passion and precision, to borrow from some of Neil's lyrics. But that's what it really is all about for us. And each one of us loves performing the music and loves being around one another and putting the work in. And yeah, you can't ask for anything more. And just the fact that people seem to like it, and it's not everybody's thing, and we get that. But for those who do like the band, we thank you, and hope to see you guys at a show in the future.
I hope you come a little bit more south, but I'm
yeah. Where are you at?
I'm in Florida, so.
Oh, geez, yeah, okay.
And
you said you're in Louisville.
If you make it
Louisville,
to
Kentucky. How close are you guys to Chambersburg, PA?
Pretty close, about an hour.
My uncle lives there, so.
I have an uncle who lives there too. Yeah. And I have a friend who owns a brewery there as well. It's a cool little town.
Yeah. They might know each other, so
yeah.
Well,
maybe.
I will say this. I just wanted, everybody's got a glass of something. I know most of ours are probably empty, but I wanted to raise a glass to Neil because it's what brought us all here. And toast to that. But Jeff, I'd love to have you back on the show. I don't even think I need to ask Dad if that's what you want, but it was a blast having you on here. I really enjoyed your chemistry and everything you brought. So on that,
thanks so much.
Neil.
Cheers.
Thanks for having me, Guy, and to Neil. Yeah.
But thank you for joining us on the DrumQuig podcast. I feel like that was a good stopping point. If you guys are interested in the shirt, people watching, Life is Short, buy the tickets. Tales of a Concert Junkie. They have amazing gear. A lot of their shirts are designed around music and mental health and how concerts save lives. And I really believe that, and it's something I'm passionate about. So I love those guys. So if you guys go support them, we may end up with a promo code. I don't want to knock on wood, but it was something special for you guys. But on behalf of myself, Dad, and Ffej,
thank you so much, Ffej.
And
thank you for having me.
All right.
This was the DrumQuig podcast.
All right.
Cheers,
Good
guys.
night.
Good night.
Bye.